Happiest day of the year. Anybody feeling happy? I'll take that as a no. Including Naomi Campbell. Now, you'd think that, punishment is supposed to rehabilitate somebody, right? It's supposed to teach them the error of their ways and make sure that they don't make the same mistake again. Well, she ain't learning, is she? Or the way that the Standard have written this up. What a story. This is hilarious. Naomi Campbell avoided jail today, despite admitting kicking and spitting at police on board a plane at Heathrow. The 38-year-old supermodel was told that she will probably receive a community service order when she's sentenced later today. She did. What is it, like 200 hours of community service or community payback, as they're now calling it. I was dragging that story around for a good long while. I wonder if I've still got it. They're not calling it community service anymore because that doesn't sound as though it's punishment. It doesn't sound as though revenge is part of the equation. They're calling it community payback now. Oh, I probably threw that away. The story remains the same. They just changed the name of it to make it sound more like more of an not ordure. That's a smell. An ordeal. Yeah, an ordeal. Well, what's she going to do? I mean, what are they going to have her do? Clean the gum off the streets with a toothbrush? I mean, she's not going to do anything, is she? I'll tell you exactly what will happen. She'll show up in some designer creation on day one to 1 million popping flashbulbs and change into a bib or something and then sweep the streets nonchalantly for a bit and then we'll just forget about it. She's not going to do 200 hours of community service. She's Naomi Campbell. The 38-year-old supermodel launched a vicious attack, including flailing arms and her platform-booted feet. She struck an officer with a mobile phone, the court heard. That seems to be her favoured weapon, doesn't it, mobile phones? Never go anywhere near Naomi Campbell when she's got a mobile phone. She screamed abuse and accused officers and the plane captain of racism in the row over lost luggage at Terminal 5. Has anybody been through Terminal 5 lately? I haven't actually, because I'm going to have to do this myself towards the end of the summer. Has anybody actually been through Terminal 5 since that whole mess when they opened it too early? Because I'd be keen to find out if it's actually... if it's the experience is actually as good as it looks. Because when they opened it, well, it looked fantastic. And nobody who went through it actually thought that. But it must be fixed now, surely. 0845 6060 973, that's the phone number. You can text me on 84850. And email nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk. Right, we go on. She screamed abuse and accused the officers and the plane captain of racism in the row over a lost luggage at Terminal 5. The Los Angeles-bound 747 was delayed for 90 minutes as she was drugged. Oh, no, not drugged. Oops. She wasn't drugged. She was dragged from the plane and taken to a police cell. During the rumpus, she shouted at the captain, Mark Sutherland, "You are a racist! You wouldn't be doing this if I was white!" When police were called, she yelled at them, "It's because I'm a black woman that you're all racists! I'm going to sue you! I'm going to bleep you!" she said. Well, make your mind up, dear. Which is it, suing or bleeping? At one stage, she made a call from a mobile phone and demanded, "They've lost my bleeping bag. Get me another flight. Get hold of the press. Get my lawyer." Oh, wouldn't that be fantastic if you could scream that in a mobile phone in public? Get my lawyer! I'm going to do that without actually making a phone call. I'll just scream into my mobile. Whenever anything, disturbs me or upsets me. Get the police. Get my lawyer. Get the press. As though the press would... I suppose they would, actually, wouldn't they? Alert the press. Naomi Campbell's gone Vesuvius on us. And actually they would. They'd drop everything and rush right over. The BA flight had been beset by teething troubles at Terminal 5. Campbell had boarded in a friendly mood. Hey, what about that? Well done. But grew agitated when she found out that one of her bags had gone missing. You know, like you would. The captain came to apologise. You know, like he wouldn't. All those people that had their bags go missing at Terminal 5, how many of them had the captain come out to personally apologise? One, Naomi Campbell. The captain came to apologise. The model told him, "I can't believe you've lost my bleeping bags. Bring me my bleeping bags now." She then told him, the captain, to get off the plane, find her bag and show it to her personally. This woman is out of her mind. The captain explained that wasn't going to happen. Campbell bellowed, "You are not leaving till you find my bleeping bag." This is on the plane, surrounded by other first-class passengers. The police were called and asked her to leave the aircraft, but Campbell screamed, "You can't bleeping touch me! My cousin is Scotland Yard!" What? My cousin is Scotland Yard? That doesn't make any sense at all. When PC Eastick took her arm, she went, quotes, berserk, throwing her mobile phone, which struck him on the arm. Ow. PC Campling went to assist, and Campbell drew her right leg back and thrust it forward, striking him in the upper thigh, uncomfortably close to his groin. Whatever that is. At the time, she was wearing formidable platform boots with stiletto heels. Oh, I never travel in anything else. It's the most comfortable way to fly. Campbell kicked out indiscriminately, catching PC Eastick, okay, on the shin and the thigh, and wedged herself into her seat. The officers got hold of her arms to pull her out of her seat, and she pulled her head back and thrust it forward and spat with total reckless disregard. Oh dear, that's not very ladylike, is it? The chairman of the bench, Peter Yakumi, told her that he was treating her as of previous good character. What? Does he not read the papers? Oh, and they've just got a little history. Do you want to hear Naomi Campbell's history? 2000, pleaded guilty to attacking a personal assistant who told a Canadian court she hit her with a phone and threatened to throw her out of a moving car. She was given absolute discharge and paid undisclosed sums to this woman. In 2000, PA Vanessa Frisbee claimed that she'd been attacked during an argument. Campbell denied it and sued for breach of contract. In 2003, PA Simone Craig sued Campbell, accusing her of holding her hostage in a hotel, throwing a phone at her. She categorically denied the allegations. In 2004, police in New York recorded an allegation by Campbell's housekeeper that she'd been punched and scratched during an argument over packing a suitcase. Campbell also made a complaint of harassment against her 44-year-old employee. No further action. 2006, Campbell arrested in London over claims she attacked her drugs... she attacked her drugs counsellor. 2007, given community service sentence in order to attend an anger management class. Oh, she doesn't need that. And was punished for hitting a maid on the head with a mobile phone. Spent 5 days mopping floors, sweeping and scrubbing lavatories in New York Sanitation Department. There you are, you see? Previous good character. But, on the other hand, if your luggage has ever gone missing, did you not want to go berserk? Yes, you probably did. Hasn't happened to me so far. Touching wood, touching wood. But if it did, if you'd got off the... Well, she didn't even get off the plane, did she? They hadn't taken off yet. That's the genius of it. They hadn't even taken off and she'd lost her luggage. But if you get out on the other side and all your, your unmentionables and whatever else it is that you pack to go with you, your crack pipe or whatever it is that you need to get you through a holiday, if they'd gone missing... Not that I'm suggesting that she took a crack pipe, by the way. I'll get on to Amy, a little bit later. But you'd want to go spare, wouldn't you? You want to scream and shout and get the press and get my lawyer, and you'd want to, but you wouldn't. That's the genius of Naomi. She wants to, and she did. She's, I think she's attaining the level of a national institution, like the Queen. Or have I gone too far? 7:45. LBC Travel with Amanda Redmond.
Thanks very much, Nick. We're looking at big delays on...
Else's opinion?
The old bag's right. Here's a cabbie called John. Hello, John.
Oh, Nick, how you going, mate? All right.
Oh, all right, thanks. You got a new motor? Hey, I've seen what... Oh, sorry, mate. Just before you go on with what you called about, I saw the designs of a new black cab. Have you seen those?
Yes, I have.
Who was making those again? Was it Mercedes?
It was, actually, yes, and I didn't like the look of it. You've got to keep the traditional London taxi, and they're trying to degrade everything, Nick, if you let them.
Well, now, I would have thought... Well, the first thing that occurred to me was I'd have thought that the cabbies would be thrilled because there would be actual competition in the market, because at the moment you only have one manufacturer to choose from, right?
That is true. That is very true. But you've got to keep the traditions, Nick, and they're gradually eroding that, as you well know, in all walks of life.
Right.
But
so you're for and against?
I'm for and against.
Right, OK, that's clear.
Nick, no, it's nice to hear you back to normal, because last night I was a bit worried about you. I thought that the men in black had had you away and, performed an economy on you.
Why?
Because some of the things you were saying about motorists and that, they're doing the right thing, the government, and we are going to benefit from it in the future.
Oh, right.
I was really worried.
Well, I didn't say that the government were doing the right thing. What I was saying was that now that people are taking fewer trips with their cars, they're driving more slowly to conserve fuel, and they're buying smaller cars and shunning larger, more gas-guzzling ones. That is actually the result that we were looking for about a year or so ago, when everyone started freaking out because we're killing the planet. And it's true. And we were concerned as to how we might get to the position that we are in today by changing people's behaviour. And we thought, how on earth are we going to do this? Because nobody wants to change. And come to find out, in very short order, we have actually changed. And the result is that people are still complaining.
But did we want to change, Nick? Again, they're taking away your choices all the time.
Well, no, John, because they're not. They're giving you the choice just as much as Mercedes are giving you the choice to choose another manufacturer for your London cab, and still you're complaining, John.
Nick, let's agree to disagree with that.
All right then.
Let's get on to the nuts and bolts of this.
Yes.
Naomi Campbell. Right. What they should do is they should put her to work in Terminal 5. Dealing with the lost baggage. Now, if she complains or has a go at any of the people that she's talking to, she immediately goes away for 6 months.
Well, you know what? If I lost my bag and I went up to the lost luggage counter and Naomi Campbell was behind it, I think I'd just forget about whatever it was in the case.
Something else I can't work out, right? Now, she's already got a court order against her in America that if she starts again, she definitely goes inside.
Really?
Now, that plane was already on its way over to the other side of the pond. Why didn't they just keep stum about it? Let it kick off over there. Let them do it. They know where she's going then.
Right, well, just strap her in and let the authorities over there deal with her when you get there.
Yeah, well, she didn't know about the bags anyway, so they were supposed to be in the hold. So she wouldn't have seen them anyway till she got there.
Well, somebody must have told her, which is a service offered to nobody else, I would imagine. Somebody told her that they'd lost her bags before they even took off, which is...
What's wrong with them?
Well, that's really going it, isn't it? All right, thanks, John.
All right, Nick.
Cheers, ta-da. I didn't know that. So she's under, whatever you call it, when you can't... What do you call it when you're under pain of death if you ever do anything wrong again? What's that? Oh, Victoria knows.
Isn't it suspended sentence?
No.
No?
I've got no idea. I just said no because you look so keen. Oh, miss, I know. Wrong! Marbell, hello.
Hello, Nick. Hi.
How you going?
I'm fine, thank you.
Have you seen a UFO?
No, I haven't. Why, have you?
No, I haven't, but 2 police officers have. I'll get to that in a moment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Naomi Campbell,
yes.
Okay. Why... Put yourself, if it was Nick on that plane, okay, and you'd spat at 2 officers...
If it was who?
If you were on the plane, if you
were...
were...
me, right, okay.
Or me, whoever, or Morel from Barnet on the plane. I'd spat at 2 officers, I'd physically assaulted 2 officers,
yeah.
I'd assaulted or tried to assault the pilot...
Mm-hmm.
I would be in Holloway so quickly that my feet wouldn't touch the ground. Why is this stupid, precocious brat getting away with things again?
Because she's rich, Morel.
It's so wrong. These people need to spell in jail. You know, she's nothing special. She's a model who's paid a lot of money. End of story. She keeps assaulting people. And what did the judge say? Her previous good character.
Yeah, that's a stunning quote. Previous good character.
You know, it's just such a laugh, and it happens every time. And the only thing they do is they start on Amy Winehouse, which is a completely different situation, because I think she's a very sick woman.
Well, yeah, no question about it. She's
exactly.
She's coughing up blood, apparently.
Exactly.
Doesn't get much sicker than that.
But I'm talking about the celebrities, whether they be footballers, whether they be models, whatever they are. Why, because you've got money, should you get away with it? And these stupid judges, can we get rid of a lot of them and put people in there that actually look at someone and say, this is what you've done, this is a penalty, whether you earn 20,000 a year, 5,000 a year, or 100,000 a year?
Well, I don't think that putting her in prison would actually make any difference. What I think might make a difference is to embarrass her in public by actually making her do a community service. But, and I know that they've given that to her, but I would be prepared to sit here and bet you every penny I've got in my pocket that she will not do 200 hours community service. They'll have her show up for the cameras, and then she'll slope off after a little while. And essentially what is going to happen is her price will go up because of all this publicity. Just as Kate Moss's price went up when she was photographed snorting talcum powder, or whatever that was. Yeah.
This is, but you know, what John the cabbie was saying, they should have strapped her and left her on the plane. Let America deal with her, because when you do something wrong over there, you know about it, okay? But, you know, here, if you've got money, you get away with everything, and it's all wrong, because it gives such a bad, what's the word I'm looking for, when it lets people that think, oh, she's got away with it, therefore I can get away with it, I haven't got any intelligence.
But I think that...
And it sort of proliferates.
It perforates.
I couldn't say that. My got a bit twisty. It goes on down the ranks.
Yeah, it's got lots of little holes in it. Perforates, it does, yeah. No, you're right. However, on the other hand, rich people have always got away with it, whatever it might be. That's the way of the world.
Well, maybe we're fed up with it now. There's good people that are very, very rich and do a lot of good, and there's good people that don't have a penny to rub together and do a lot of good, okay, in different ways. I'm personally, and I'm sure there's thousands of people, stick to death that if you've got money, you can get away with anything. Let's end this now, and if the politicians won't do anything about it, let's get rid of them, all parties. I'm for getting rid of everybody. I'm sick of politicians, we can get rid of them. All of them.
Well, where do talk show hosts come on the list, Miral?
Oh, no, talk shows. We love them.
Right, okay, fair enough.
Okay, but on a serious note...
As long as we don't step out of line, eh?
Yeah, sounds like dictatorship.
Well, a little bit, yeah.
On a serious note, though, Nick, if she's got 200 hours, she should do it. Why the cameras are there... Okay, it's not a photographic choice for her. She should do the community service without anybody taking her photo, and she should do the 200 hours, and she should be supervised.
Right.
And it should be as menial as possible. Spitting at people, she's a precocious little brat. That's the end of my rant.
Right, okay, good rant. Thanks a lot, Morel.
Thank you, Nick.
Cheers, ta-ra. Well, yes, rich people have always got away with it, and the more you steal, the more you're likely to get away with it. Particularly in this country, where the loosening of the rules in the city have made it pretty much like the Wild West. I mean, you see people getting towed away in handcuffs in America for things that people don't even bat an eyelid at over here. Something I saw some businessmen getting walked away in cuffs just the other day in the States. When was the last time that happened here? Well, you couldn't remember it. And that's why, incidentally, Britain has become so successful in dealing in its financial dealings. The City of London, the financial centre of the country, its success is revolutionary, pretty much, over the last 10 or so years, after the loosening up of the rules over there. America treats its financial criminals much more sternly than we do over here. We kind of, it's all a bit of a nod and a wink and oh well, who's, we're all at it kind of thing. Kind of like expenses. It's kind of like expenses. They do it because everybody's doing it. And one of the MEPs was saying this just the other day. He said, really, we don't see it as fiddling because everyone's doing it. And if it becomes the norm, then it doesn't seem to be wrong anymore. Never mind about a criminal act. It just doesn't seem to be something that you would think twice about doing. And if everybody is doing it, then you feel like a chump if you're not doing it, thereby, reinforcing that behaviour. Rich people have always got away with stuff. It's dopes like us who don't get away with anything at all. There aren't many rich people in jail. All the people in jail will have been nicking an apple here, well, I exaggerate for comic effect, an apple here and a toffee chew over there. People have nicked £100 million, all those crims over in the square mile, all of those besuited perps, they're still swanning around having a cigar and enjoying their loot. LBC 97.3. Can't wait! 97.3.
Do you like me?
Yes, I do. Sunbury. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
Very well, thanks.
I tell you what it is. I was just listening to your debate talking about crime, that sort of thing. I'm a policeman, and I just think it's worth highlighting this massive con trick that the government have been playing on the public for years now. It's all to do with consecutive sentencing. I'll just explain just briefly what that means.
Go on.
You hear the newspapers report that someone's been convicted of a crime. Let's say that they've committed multiple offences, so you've got perhaps serious assault, drug supply and robbery.
Yeah.
When the judge sentences, he'll say, for example, you're going to get 2 years for the assault, a year for drug supply, and another year for robbery.
That's 2 plus 1 is 4, yes.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think. But what it means is, when he says, the sentences will be served consecutively, as they always are, what it means is that while you're serving 2 years, you're also serving the 1 year at the same time as you're serving the 2 years, and at the same time, you're serving the 6 months. So they show, figures-wise, that someone's been convicted of 3 offences, and it sounds to the public like the sentencing is robust, because you hear all these numbers of years and months, and people do exactly what you've just done. You tot it up in your mind, and you think, yeah, well, he's going away for what sounds like quite a long period of time.
Yeah, fair enough.
Having heard what he's done, sounds like a jolly good thing. But it's a massive ruse, because, if you're serving 5 years for something, at the same time you're serving 2 years for something else, it doesn't really matter how much they add on, how many offences they say you're being sentenced for, because ultimately you're only in prison, for a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
So where you think, well, if he's got 5 years plus 2 years plus 1 year, let's say, well, that must be 8 years. Well, it's not, because while he's serving the 5 years, he's serving the 2 years, and he's serving the 1 year. And then don't forget that in this country, you're automatically eligible for parole after you've done 50% of your sentence.
Yes.
That's really what you're looking at. And I also think it's worth mentioning that we're supposed to be the 4th richest economy in the world.
Correct.
And yet, we can't afford to build more prisons. Well,
let me ask you about this, because we are, yes, both of those things that you said is true, and what you were mentioning before that is worth the highlighting, because people don't normally think that stuff. They'll look at a perp, and he's just got 8 years, but it's not 8, it's 4. And if they've added 5 and 2 and 1, like you said, it's not even 4, it's 2.5, actually, isn't it?
It's a massive trick, but the government just get away with it because the media just don't seem to highlight it. It's like, I don't know whether they think that the public aren't really interested, or that the public are all, too dumb to realise. But, I mean, when I started in the job, which is, over 10 years ago now, I just assumed, much like everybody else, that if you were getting sentenced for multiple offences and the judge is saying, this many years for that, this many months for this...
Yeah, you'd add it up rather than multitask and do it all at the same time.
That's exactly it, but it's not done, and it's just scandalous. I mean, earlier in the week, without sort of naming any names or giving any details, I had a trip to prison to speak to someone about another offence that it had come to light that they had... perhaps committed, so I had to go and speak to them in the prison. And, you ask people, what's it like in here? And they're laughing, well, it's not too bad at all. Yeah, I quite like it in here.
Now, you've been a copper for 10 years, you said, and how's it changed in those 10 years?
Society has got more violent in the last 10 years. That's how it's changed.
Because if you look at the statistics, I'm sure that they could work it up that it looks as though it actually hasn't, that violent crime has gone down. I'm sure I just read that just the other day.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that's what the figures reflect. I'm sure that inflation really is 3%. Never mind that energy bills have gone up 40%, petrol's gone up 35%. Don't worry. I mean, if they say that violent crime's down, well, then it must be, mustn't it?
Now, okay, but on your point that we're not building enough prisons, you do know that we put away more people per head of population than almost any country in certainly in Europe, but perhaps in the world, with the possible exception of, bizarrely, Luxembourg.
Here's the gag, though, Nick. What you have to remember is, what's it like serving prison time in England compared to, for example, what it's like serving time in a federal penitentiary in the States. I mean, I can tell you, over here, you've got 3 meals a day, you're fed, clothed, watered, you've got access to healthcare, education and exercise equipment, not to mention leisure facilities if you behave yourself. Basically, there's no hard time to do here in England. So the bottom line is, where's your deterrent? Let's talk about something like fraud. If you're a fraudster committing credit card related crime, you can be earning £2,000-3,000 a month. You know, that's not out of the way. You know, that's
doing what?
Well,
not inside.
Committed. No, not
oh,
inside.
right. Okay, right.
What I'm saying is that's the lifestyle you're going to be able to fund. You know, £3,000 a month ish,
Right.
committing fraud. Let's say you get captured and you get convicted. What are you going to do? I can tell you, it's going to be something in the order of 6 months. So, what message does that send to people? Well, for a lot of people, the message is, well, it's worth a go, isn't it? Because what's the worst that's going to happen? If I go to prison, I'm going to get something like 3 to 6 months, do the maths on it, and it's almost like, well, it makes sense to take the risk, doesn't it?
All right, now you're on the front line. What's the answer?
It's got to be a combination of things, but I think for starters, all these low-level offences, the things that really make people unhappy in their day-to-day life, like your criminal damage, your low-level assaults, your antisocial behaviour, here's my idea. Rather than necessarily banging these people up, especially the younger ones who are like under the age of 25, why not put them in like a bright coloured jumpsuit and have them in the town centres, outside the bars, the clubs, the nightclubs, on a Friday and Saturday night, picking up litter, just so all the other youngsters can see them and think, well, that doesn't look like much of a laugh.
That sounds exactly like what...
to be doing that.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what they would... I mean, you mentioned American penitentiaries. That sounds a very American style of punishment.
Yeah, but why is it wrong? I mean, society pays people. You know, we as a society condone paying people to clean the streets or clean up graffiti. You know, no one particularly disparages like a road sweeper, and you know, why should they? So why is it wrong to get half a dozen of these lads, or girls for that matter, have them, I don't know, I'm not saying chains, but you know, some sort of nylon cord at the ankle so they can't run away, and have them outside, you know, all through your town centres when all the other youngsters are there, perhaps in groups of 6, and make them pick up litter. You know, you can't say it's anti their human rights, because we as a society pay people to do those sort of jobs, but at least then it sends a clear message to the other youngsters that, well, that doesn't look like much of a laugh, I don't want to be doing that, because a lot of these lads, they're going to young offenders institutes now, and it's almost seen as a badge of honour.
Well, not almost. Yeah, not almost. I mean, that's what like youth fashion is all about these days, with the trousers hanging off their
well, that all
bottoms.
comes from the convicts in America.
Exactly.
Like, 30 years ago, where the trousers were too big for them, and they were wearing their trousers, you know, their trousers just did bag down their sort of backsides.
Well, because they had their belts taken away from them in prison, so they had nothing to keep them up.
That's right. Yeah.
So it is a badge of honour, and and as you described it, it isn't that hard inside. So yes,
I think the real kicker is, though, Nick, that people need to remember: your politicians, your Jackie Smiths. You know, your members of the cabinet, they're not living in the real world. They're not living where, you know, they haven't got any big housing estates nearby. They're not exposed to any social problems or anything like that. So it's very easy for them to legislate from a position where society's not affecting them. You know, they might read about it now and again, but you can bet it's not really touching their lives. And
no,
because
quite
it doesn't touch their lives, I think it makes them feel better about themselves, to be very liberal, and it's the rest of us, it's the rest of society that pays the price for that.
Steve, thanks very much for that call. Cheers, mate.
Take care.
0845 6060 973. I think he said a lot of very good things there. Some texts. I went through Terminal 5 a week ago. I was worried, but it was great. Nothing went wrong. It looks fantastic. Well, fantastic. It looks like a clean, open hangar. I mean, there's only so much you can do with an airport, really, isn't there? You can remove the internal structure as much as you can. You can take the posts out by a clever method of suspending the ceiling, and you can just open it up as just one giant space with glass on the outside, and that's pretty much all you can do, right? The clever part is suspending the ceiling without any posts in the middle to interrupt the flow. But, having said that, it does look pretty good. Have you ever been through Stansted? You ever been through Stansted in here? Hello?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the difference between Stansted and Heathrow is absolutely massive. Stansted is one of those open, big, bright, relatively new, or it certainly was when I went there, with very few people. I think that's the key, isn't it? There was very few people in there. And it wasn't, oh, blimey, last time I took a plane out of Heathrow, you can't find a seat in the departure lounge. Because they're all... There's people sitting on every last one of them. And it's, well, let's not be indelicate about it. It stinks in there. Because it's full of people. And they're sweating and uncomfortable, and they're fearful as well. The scent of fear is pouring off people, and it kind of brings this nasty atmosphere about the place. Horrible. That doesn't happen when it's nice and open and bright, and you can see the outside. And so that's what Terminal 5 looked like. I'm looking forward to it. Another text. You can text me, by the way, on 84850. Naomi Campbell is just another deluded, self-obsessed, jumped-up non-entity. I mean, celebrity. She isn't an institution. She should be. She isn't an institution. She should be in an institution. Right, okay. 8:15. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Well, I'm just hearing that 2 lanes are closed.
We love you long time.
Now, let me say that I bow to no one in my admiration for Simon Calder and his travel clinic. However, he said the last thing you want to do when you get on a plane is have a drink. He said, who wants to have a drink when you get on a plane? Me, sir. I do. It's the first thing I want. And the last thing. And all of the things in the middle as well. Are you joking? I want to be smashed when I'm flying. And not having a seat-back video. What kind of a plane doesn't have a seat-back video that is in the air for longer than about an hour? If I'm going to go to New York, I want to be drunk and I want to be amused, entertained at all times. Take my mind off the fact that I'm in a screaming metal tube 30,000 feet above the sea. So I know which one I won't be flying on. Why don't they have a seat-back video?
Maybe they've not got around to installing them yet.
Well, they should step into the 80s. Try and catch up, come on. Hurry up, Harry. Here, Prince Harry's looking a bit fat, isn't he? He's supposed to be a soldier. He's about half my age, and I could take him in a fight. I could biff him up. He's just looking a bit like he's had a few too many cocktails. He's been lounging around, having a fag, and he was pictured marching with his comrades just the other day, and he looked like their podgy mate. Like a mascot, you know. Here is Beckenham. Hello, Jim.
Hi, good evening, Nick.
Jim.
I phoned up about Naomi, but could I just quickly mention something about Steve, another con that the government are pulling?
Steve?
This policeman.
Oh, yes.
When you get a gang of 5 or 6 who commit horrible crimes and then they get found guilty, they come out with, the gang was sentenced to 30 years or 40 years, and it gives the impression, oh, great, they've really been punished.
Yeah.
But you divide that by 5 or 6 or 7, and it works out they get about 4 years each, and they're out in 2. So it's just another one of the cons that this brilliant government have come out with.
Yes.
The government who are against spin.
That's right, yes.
But, and so I agree. I wish Steve could be made the commissioner, maybe be more in touch with reality.
Prime Minister, perhaps.
Yeah. But anyway, I phoned up about Naomi. I was watching a programme 2 or 3 years ago. It was about Britain's Next Model. And I watched it for 2
Oh, whoa, Nelly. You were watching a programme called Britain's Next Model?
Well, I was forced into it.
Oh, I see, right.
And I watched about 2 or 3 episodes of it.
Oh, I think that you should have raised a finger of complaint at some point along the way, Jim.
Well, but I was astounded. If there was about 12 girls in it, and if you added all their IQs together, you wouldn't get into double figures.
Right.
So is it any wonder the way Naomi Campbell behaves? You know, I think...
Well, I think that having intelligence seems to be a bar on becoming a supermodel, because vacancy is their currency.
Yeah,
if they look as though they've got anything going on behind the eyes, they don't seem to get very far. I mean, look at Kate Moss, perfect example. She looks as though she's constantly mentally going, duh. See, there's nothing going on behind her eyes at all. She's a total blank. And partly, sorry, mate, I'll keep interrupting you, but partly because anything that she's photographed wearing or smelling like or whatever it is that she's doing, if she presents a blank face, then they can put onto her any image that they like. So I think being blank, being a bit stupid, is no bar to success in that world. No,
and when you think about, and I'm not having a go at Victoria Beckham. I think she does have a lot going on, but she tries to make out she's not. She puts that vacant look on to, I suppose, attain model status.
Well, the thing with Victoria Beckham is that she's decided, probably by standing in front of the mirror for hours on end, that she looks best when she's pouting. Well, yes, and so there's not a picture that I can remember seeing of her without the very same look on her face in every single shot. Like, no, don't smile, dear, because you're of an age where, the lines will show. That's probably what she's thinking. If you say... I read in the papers that the Olsen twins, those girls from America that made $100 million doing whatever it is they do, whenever they have their photograph taken, they say prune. If you say prune, so if you say cheese, that's too smiley. If you say prune, that looks all pouty and sensual.
Oh, I'll have to try that. I normally say cash.
Cash.
But when you think that people will pay £5,000 for a bag or a pair of shoes, I mean, it just about sums it all up. So
well, it ain't just the models that are done, yeah.
That's it.
Okay, good job. Thanks, Jim.
Good night, Nick.
Yeah, £5,000 for a bag. I used to just carry everything around in a Sainsbury's placky bag. Other placky bags are available. Until my mate... I looked like a homeless person. Well, I did. Because I don't make much of an effort, and I used to carry all my work stuff around in a plastic bag. I was known for it. Oh, God, here he comes with his plastic bag. And I used to get ribbed for it. And so I went out and bought an actual proper bag. And I got ribbed for that too. Yeah, where's your bag, mate?
Did anyone ever just stop you randomly and give you change? Could have made a living out of that.
Well, yeah. No, I tend to find all my money on the ground, as previously explained on a different show. Hey, if you miss any of these super shows, by the way, you can catch it up on our excellent podcasting service, which you'll find on allthews.lbc.co.uk/LBC+.
Orky/Docky.
Here's Colin Boreham Wood. Israel.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
I'm livid tonight.
Oh, yeah.
The justice system in this country absolutely stinks. It's diabolical. 2 stories the same day. First one, Naomi Campbell. She has had a row with the captain of the 747. Well, I don't think he should have told her that her bag had gone missing. He should have been wise to previous and know what's lying there. But having said that, the police have now been called, and she ends up assaulting 3 of them and without insult injury, spits them, which I think is the most disgusting thing to do.
Well, the spitting part, yeah, there's no excuse for that. However, if they'd lost your bags...
Even kicking the coppers out of order.
Well, I suppose so.
One thing, if she'd done that in the days when I served as a special constable in North London, she would not have walked off that place. She'd have been carried off. There's absolutely no way she'd have lashed out as 3 police officers had gotten away with it.
Well, hang on a minute. The difference is, she wasn't just anybody. She was rich and famous. She was in first... What? Well, hang on a minute. She was in first class. She paid £5,000 for her seat. So people would want to tiptoe around. I'm not excusing it. I'm not suggesting that this would be the right thing to do. I'm just explaining why perhaps they treated her a little better than they would, say, if I had done this in coach. Because she's famous, and when you're faced with a famous person, you sort of you lose your own personality a bit. You become a bit goo gaga, you know.
This country has a law for one and everyone.
No, I'd stop you there.
You're supposed to be treated the same, irrespective of your status,
right?
Colour.
But we all know that that's not true.
Well, that's exactly the problem. If you take She assaults 3 police officers, holds the plane up for 90 minutes. What is she sentenced to? A couple of hundred hours community service and a lousy fine, which is chicken feed. That's small change. She'll tip out her £5,000 Gucci bag, and she'll have the fine will be paid from the loose change bottom of the bag. some deranged woman stalks David Walliams and she's been warned to expect a custodial sentence, where is the justice? I think Naomi Campbell should have been given a prison sentence. If not, they should have multiplied the number of people on the plane by the amount of time she she delayed them due to her tantrum, and then given a community service of those number of hours, and then throw another couple of hundred on top for added good luck.
Well, I think that you've caught something there, because people don't seem to pay a fine that's commensurate with whatever crime they've just committed. I mean, some guy just got fingered for writing his name or scratching his name in the windows of stagecoach buses, or writing it with a felted pen, something like that. He caused, I can't remember exactly how much, so I'll make it up, £600,000 worth of damage, 600 grand, I think that's a correct figure, and he was fined something like £500. He committed £600,000 worth of damage, and his fine was 500, meaning, well, he's way up on the deal, isn't he?
Well, there's absolutely no deterrent whatsoever for these little thugs to curb their behaviour.
But if Naomi Campbell, who can afford it, if she was fined even the cost of keeping the plane on the tarmac for that period of time, which I'm sure cost an enormous amount of money, because they would have presumably have missed their next takeoff slot and all the fuel and the extra, they would have had to pay the staff and so on. If she had been fined that amount, and for the wages of the people whose lives she inconvenienced, the police and so on, then maybe it would have
been justice.
Yeah, it would have hurt a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole system thinks of speeding, doing a few miles over the speed limit, you get fined a minimum of £60.
Yeah.
Going shoplifting at your local Tesco's, you get a slap on the wrist.
Right.
So,
the whole world's gone crazy, eh?
Well, it has. It makes me ashamed to say I'm British.
Oh, well, that's going a bit far, isn't it?
Well, that is the way I feel. I'm embarrassed in this country.
Right.
The way the justice system works, the way the citizens get treated. We're getting ripped off by this government, right, left and centre. We're getting ripped off on the cost of fuel, getting ripped off on interest rates. Wherever you go, we're being monitored.
Still, it's the happiest day of the year, remember?
Why?
Oh, some bloke just came up with an equation. It's the happiest day of the year. Aren't you feeling great?
No.
No, not really, no. Right, OK. Thanks for that, Israel.
You have a pleasant evening.
All right, thank you. Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. Everyone's really upset and angry so far tonight, and it's supposed to be the happiest day of the year. Have you noticed that? I haven't spoken to one single person yet. It's been HAPPY, apart from John the cabbie. And even he was having a go at me. I was giving him the good news that they have another cab to choose from, which looked all right to me. It looked like a big people carrier with the big taxi orange light of hope on top. You know, the orange light of hope that you see on a cold, wintry night, and it's just a sea of black cabs with their lights switched off, and then in the distance, the orange light of hope. Oh, I hope it gets, I hope the light stays on all the way down this long road till it gets to me, you think, at 3 o'clock in the morning, when the last bus has gone. Yeah, the orange light of hope. And so it looked like the black, like a decent black cab to me, and I thought they'd have been overjoyed, because the amount of times that I've heard from cabbies themselves, and Jeremy Clarkson wrote a piece about it, how uncomfortable and awful those black cabs are to drive. Well, no wonder they're all in a bad mood all the time. Every time you get in one, which no one can afford to these days, of course, every time you get in one, they start chewing your ear off. Well, I don't like this and I don't like that. Well, no wonder they're sitting in a cab driving that nightmare all day. You'd be upset too, Raj. Or even more upset than you are at the moment. LBC 97.3. Near Waterloo Park. It is quite nice. It's quite hilly, though. Have a picnic in Waterloo Park and your Scotch egg will be rolling down the hill. But I can't remember a view. I think there's probably, in between two trees, you might be able to see some of the landmarks of London, but it's not a great sweeping view, but it is a lovely place to be, because she's quite right. That nice lady, whoever she was. It is an undiscovered park, really, because it's right by Highgate, sort of just south of Highgate High Street. You sound posh when you say it. Highgate High Street. You can't say it in an oik way. Try it. Highgate High Street. There you go. Of course you can. Drop the H's. Let's have a call in Brockley. Hello, Michael.
Hello, mate. How you doing, sir?
Very well, thanks.
Well,
I was a little bit... Well, no, sorry. I wasn't surprised that Naomi Campbell got probably a nice fine of £1,000 and a slap on the wrist and be told, go home, have a bath and relax. Where if it was me or you who kicked a policeman, spit on them, rest assured you got on for assault. What sort of country are we living in?
Well, the same one we've always lived in, Michael. There's a law for rich, famous people, and there's a law for everybody else.
I'll tell you something, mate. You are not wrong. I don't know if you heard the news probably about 6 or 7 years ago, in New York. A lady who owned a hotel in New York, her name is Leona Helmsley.
Yes.
She
the
went
Queen
down,
of Mean.
For tax evasion, didn't she?
Yeah. Well,
How long she got, 7 years?
I can't remember, but in America, they treat their perps much more strictly than we do here, particularly their financial criminals.
Mate, all we do, mate, is give him a slap on the wrist and tell him, go on and don't do it again.
Yeah.
But this country, it's going to the dogs, Nick. It's gone, mate. And that's a classic example right there. Naomi Campbell should do time. At least 2 months in jail. At least.
But that actually won't help either us or her, will it? I think there's much better ways of punishing people like that. And I think the policeman that called us earlier on had hit the nail right on the head. And that's exactly what should happen.
Absolutely. Put him in a very bright suit to clean the streets of London.
Right. And so that everybody knows what they're doing. But you know that if anybody suggests such a thing, the usual suspects will come crawling out the woodwork and say, it's... Exactly.
Nick, I've got to go, son.
Thanks a lot.
Have a wonderful evening.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. Can anybody actually pick a hole in that? Because our policeman friend that called a little while ago, what he said was, well, I've kind of said this, a lot of people have said the same kind of thing, but they didn't put it as succinctly as he did. Put him in a bright suit. The Arizona sheriff, this Sheriff Arpaio, whatever his name is, this guy who has a prison in Arizona where it's always over 100 degrees, but it's a dry heat. And they're out there in tents. Not intense, in tents. That's where they live, in tents. And they don't have air conditioning, and they don't have porno or hookers or any of that stuff that you can enjoy in Britain's comfortable jails. And as part of their punishment, he puts them on a chain gang. Chains them together, puts them in bright, luminous pink overalls, and sends them to cut the grass at the side of the road or whatever it is that needs to be done locally. And nobody ever wants to go back, is the thing. Whereas in this country, people are so keen they break into jail. If I was David Campbell, I think that this would... he doesn't seem to be saying very much, does he? Neither does Nick Clegg, really. I mean, you'd think that because just a little straw poll of people, and the newspapers on a daily basis, it's a giant open goal. But nobody seems to be saying anything different. And I don't believe that people's hands are so tied by the health and safety, not the health and safety, the Human Rights Brigade, that they can't imagine anything different to the situation that we have now as far as crime and punishment goes. All you've got to do is give people what they want, essentially. You don't have to really go out and do a survey. It's bloomin' obvious. Everything that policeman said, I bet you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody you didn't agree with. Well, why isn't one of the other political leaders saying this? Because they wouldn't actually have to do it, because they're not in power right now. It's one of those I'm gonna. But if they said that they were gonna, blimey, their popularity would go through the roof. Seems like a no-brainer to me. But, what do I know? Here's Colin Streatham. Hello, Michael. Oh, Michael.
Hello?
Yes, Michael.
Hi, yes, I'm calling about the Naomi Campbell story.
Yeah.
I think people have been very unfair to Naomi,
Oh, yeah.
I think there's two sides to every story, and if the judge felt fit to give her a custodial sentence, I'm pretty sure she would have got one. I mean, I don't think she's the first celebrity to be so-called let off. I mean, when you look at the other guy, which is Pete Doherty, he got caught with cocaine. He got let off. He never even got a fine.
Right.
So I think that, people should give Naomi a break. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I don't really care about any of them, to be honest. I don't
care about any of them myself. I've got my own life to lead. But when you listen to it on the radio, it just sounds like people are really, digging into her, and because she's, a woman and she's rich.
No, it's not because she's a woman, and it's not because she's rich, and it ain't because she's black. It's because she's Naomi Campbell. It's because she did what she did. That's why people are having a go at her. If she'd sat serenely in her chair and written a stiff letter of complaint about the loss of her bag, or she'd taken them to court, or whatever it is, nobody would be saying anything about it. But she kicked and she punched and she threw and she spat. And the spitting part is the part that really rankles with a lot of people. And the part that really annoys people is that they know if they'd done that, they wouldn't be, they wouldn't have had a lenient fine and 200 hours, or whatever it is actually going to be, community service.
Not necessarily, 200 hours community service is a long time. It's long, and an embarrassment having to go out and clean up or paint walls for X amount of months.
If she does 200 hours community service, I'm a banana.
Sorry?
I very much doubt that she will actually do that.
I think she will. I think at the end of the day, she's been given her sentence. I think we should let her live her life, and she's not the first person to get community service. I don't think she'll be the last. I think her being rich has nothing to do with it.
I think partly it's just somebody to take a swing at. It's just that she happens to be in front of our face at the moment, so we'll just have a go at her.
Well, that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Michael. Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. Hey, we seem to be Naomi Campbell heavy tonight. And it's all my fault. A text. Again, a Z-list celeb has been let off with a slap on the wrist. We'll never know if she completes her community service. No, that's absolutely right. Hands up who thinks she's actually going to do 200 hours. How many is 200 hours? 40, that's 5 weeks. No way is she going to do 5 weeks. That's actually quite a lot, isn't it? 5 weeks doing what? You see, there's the king. There's the crux? Yeah, the crux, not the crutch. She was kicking the crutch. That is the crux. 5 weeks doing what? Because it could be doing it. It could be modelling clothes. Well, it could. It could be 5 weeks, sitting with her feet up, having a fag. That'll teach her. A text. There was a mobile phone throwing competition somewhere. Maybe Finland. Naomi should compete there. She's had the practice. I'm quite careful with my mobile phone. I guess if you're rich, you don't really care, do you? Not that bothered. Gordon Brown is apparently keen on throwing his mobile phone. A text. I agree with the fella just now. Stick them on the road. Cleaning duties. Bright orange cord joining them together. You should lose your human rights when you commit a crime which invades someone else's human rights. Well, yes, absolutely. If you step outside the rule of law, then you can't rely on the rule of law to get you off your punishment, whatever it is. If you step outside of society's norms, then you can't then claim the benefit of those society's norms. I'm not putting that very well, but do you know what I mean? You can email me at nick.abbott@ldc.co.uk. An email. Nick, yesterday you said that you drove like a grandad in order to save petrol. Yeah. I think a lot of people are doing that. I've noticed that. I also do notice that when I'm pootling actually is more accurate, pootling along at 25 miles an hour, furious people are behind me, right up my exhaust pipe, and trying to get by, thinking that I'm probably 86 years old, some doddery old fool in the car in front, and are surprised when someone as lithe and youthful as myself appears at the wheel. Isn't that right, Raj?
Yeah.
Another good way of saving petrol, says this email, and I know you're not going to like this, is to swap your gas-guzzling automatic transmission and drive a manual. I absolutely will not do that, ever. Manual cars get much better MPG and are real drivers' cars. I've heard that argument so many times. Which one would drive an automatic for? You get so much more control with a manual. controlled from going from first to second to first to second. I went up Holland Park Road, or Holland Road, whatever it's called today. It's a trip that normally takes 5-10 minutes tops. I was on that road for about 45 minutes, crawling along. If I'd had to do that in a manual car, my left leg would have fallen off right now. My left leg would have been, the thigh on my left leg would have been gigantic. I'd have had to buy 2 pairs of trousers and sew them together up the fly. Only lazy people drive automatic cars anyway. Incorrect. Smart people drive automatic cars. You can also try cleaning your car once in a while to reduce dirt drag, or get someone to clean it for you if you think you're too important to be seen cleaning. There are better things in life to do than clean your car, including nothing. The M25. Hello, Paul.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Good. Nick, it's quite obvious that you don't know anybody who's been to prison.
No.
Because if you did, you would realise that the views given by the press and the media are not strictly true.
What views?
Well, that prison is a luxury life. 3 square meals a day, gym equipment, videos, Sky TV. It's not like that. There might be some jails where it sort of approaches that, but I can assure you that a certain prison I know, not personally, having never been in there, but someone close to me who unfortunately found himself incarcerated, banged up for 22 hours a day because there wasn't enough staff, called out at the meal because something was kicking off, and by the time they got back it was all cold. Diabetics who weren't allowed to have chocolate in their cell overnight because the staff couldn't be bothered to sort it out. People on heart medicine who didn't get their heart medicine when they should have done. So it's not quite as glamorous as a lot of people make out.
Yes, but that did always not look like it was quite right when the press do make it look like a holiday camp. I'm sure if they look really hard, which is, of course, what they're in the business of doing, blowing up a story to make it fit whatever angle they're going for, if you look really hard, you can find prisons that are exactly like that, and prisoners that do have that sort of easy lifestyle. But I'm sure you're absolutely right. It's not all like that, no. OK, thanks for that, Paul.
OK, then.
Cheers,
thanks very
mate.
much, Nick.
Ta-da. 0845 6060 973 846. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the Rotherhite...
How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. How are you, Jeremy?
Hello, Nick. Okay?
Yes, very well.
I'm just ringing about this day. It's supposed to be the happiest day of the year. Or
It's
something.
the happiest day of the year.
Yeah, and a lot of these people here saying that, well, nobody said that they're happy.
Well, a bunch of miserable old types so far, eh?
Yeah, well, what it is, I'm from Devon, and I come up to the city at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And, people up here are a lot more miserable, a lot more uptight, and a lot more stressed out than at home.
Exactly.
And, we don't... Down there, we just don't make the money that you people make, but I think we're a lot happier.
Yes, money does not equal happiness. Just look at Roman Abramovich.
That's right. And, you come up here, and I'll tell you something else as well up here. I'm up here quite early in the mornings. Now, at home, if you're in town at 4 o'clock in the morning and you see somebody, it doesn't matter who it is. You'll always say hello.
Really?
If you do that up here, they'll run a mile. They think you're going to knife them or mug them.
Well, yeah, but that's just a factor of the amount of people that there are in London compared to whatever yokel place that you are living in Devon, did you say?
That's right, yeah.
Devon, yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, if you say hello to everyone you pass in London, well, you'd never have time to draw a breath.
Well, I know, but, people just aren't as friendly. And, and this reflects on your day, really. If everybody's sort of friendly and sort of say hello and that and get along. I mean, at home, you would strike up a conversation with somebody you didn't know. Londoners just don't do that.
No, absolutely. And you don't realise it as a Londoner that that's what you're doing until you either take yourself away from it and then come back. Like when you come back from holiday and you go onto the tube for the first time, it always strikes me how ill and miserable everybody looks. I think that the tube is killing us all slowly. But and the flip side of that is if you're on the tube and some, not foreigners, but people from outside of London get on, like it's a Saturday night and they're all going out to see Mamma Mia or something, and they get on and they're thrilled out their mind to be on the tube, and they're actually, say it softly, talking to each other. And you feel kind of embarrassed to be in their company because they seem to be enjoying themselves. Yeah, you're right.
I didn't know you did that up here.
What, enjoy ourselves? Well, we prefer to do it in the privacy of our own homes, Jeremy.
I mean, everybody up here seems to be so driven by money, and, you know, they just don't seem happy about it. I mean, you see more expensive cars and things.
Yeah.
People are spending more money, people have more money to spend, and, you know, we don't have that much money, but we don't seem to be as miserable.
Absolutely correct, yes. There is more money here, but of course everything costs more. And other people, you're surrounded by other people who have got more than you do. Whereas out of town, that's not necessarily true to the same extent. Yeah, you're right. And money doesn't bring you happiness. Unless you have a ton of it.
I don't think so.
in which case, if money doesn't buy you happiness, then you don't know where to shop. Yeah.
No.
All right. Thanks for that, Jeremy. Cheers. Ta-da. 0845 6060 973. There was a list of the happiest places in Britain, wasn't there? I have to remember to breathe every now and again. Sometimes I get to 3/4 of the way through a sentence and I thought, I'm not going to make it. Yeah, there was a list of the happiest places in Britain. What came out top? It was something like Bristol, wasn't it?
Wasn't it I thought it'd be somewhere like Liverpool or up north. They seem happy.
Liverpool? No, it was like Hull.
What? Yeah, that's up north.
No, I just said Hull as a joke.
I think it was Bristol, and Newcastle was the most miserable.
No, that doesn't fit at all, because people from Newcastle are known for their, joie de vivre, if joie de vivre is French for drunkenness.
But apparently the friendliest people are in places like Liverpool and Newcastle.
There was I shouldn't say this because they get very upset, but there was there was an email that went around about the Liverpool City of Culture. It was one of these things that got sent all over the world, and everybody probably received one. And there were little vignettes of Liverpool life, and one was of a close-up of a typewriter, and all of the keys were the letter A, as in A. And the enter key was countdown. Made me laugh. Here's Hammersmith. Hello, Bob.
Hi.
Bob. Oh, hello. Bob. Yes, yeah. Bob.
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
Sorry, community service. I used to work for it. I used to be a supervisor there.
Did you? It's called community payback now, isn't it?
It's called now unpaid work. Community services dropped quite a while ago.
Right, okay.
But there's also a scheme where you said before about payback. That's a different type of project.
Okay.
But what happens, somebody gets like 200 hours, they'll come in and they'll do a 3-hour induction course where they're told what they'll be doing and how to behave, rules, regulations, things like that.
Yeah.
And then it's done in 7-hour slots, 1 day a week. So 200 hours, you're looking at, 25, 26 weeks.
Blimey.
It is possible sometimes for people to do 2 slots a week, but generally it's only 1.
Well, now, how is someone who is, by their nature, a globetrotter and is here, there and everywhere, baby, going to fit in a day a week here? I mean, because Naomi Campbell's all over the place.
People do get excused if they have got things to do and things like that.
Right. See, there it is. Excused.
No, they have to come back. I mean, they might get this week off if they've got some prior engagement, like a wedding or they're going on holiday or something like that, but then they've got to come back and make it up the following week.
Well, so what sort of thing do they do?
Well, it can be painting out graffiti, cutting back vegetation, gardening. It could be painting community centres.
And when they're out there doing whatever it is, how... Because there was a story in the press with pictures to go with it of people that were supposed to be painting the railings in a park, and I can't remember.
I know, that was a set-up.
It didn't look like a set-up.
Well, it was. The photos are taken by one of the guys on the group. And they were sitting in the bus because it was raining. They were waiting for it to stop. But there's a lot more to it than that was,
Well, the story was that they were supposed to be painting park railings, and they painted about 2 foot of them over the course of, I can't remember how many months it was, but they basically weren't doing anything at all. Sitting in their van, rolling joints.
Yeah, that was all the negative things they were saying, but... Believe me, that these guys do a lot of good work at times, and considering they don't want to be there, it's incredible some of the work that they do. you talk to people that had the work done, and they'll tell you how appreciative they are of the work they've done, because they'd never get it done any other way. Because obviously it's free labour for them, you know.
Right. And how do you think it actually affects the people that are doing it? Is it better than sending them down?
Oh, it means you've got to give up a day a week. Well, you've got to get up in the morning, you've got to be there, because you've got to be on time. If you're late, you get sent home, and then you've got to come back and do that 7 hours in that on top again.
So presumably these are people who haven't got jobs, though, right?
Not always, no. If people are working, then they come on the weekends.
Right.
If they're not working, they do it in the weekdays. So there are all sorts of rules and regulations. You've got to do as you're told virtually for 7 hours, you know, like mobile phones are banned. Get caught using a mobile phone on when you're on.
And is there somebody watching them all the time?
There's a supervisor there who's in charge of them.
Right.
And he rules the roads. There are rules and regulations as to what they can and cannot do. As I say, for 7 hours a day, they've got to do as they're told, and they've got to turn up and to spend that 7 hours with you, and they've got to do this for, say, 27 weeks.
Right.
You know, and you've got to do that on a weekend every Sunday for, you know, some people find it really glad when it's over.
Yes. I used to have to do that sort of thing for pocket money.
Exactly, yeah.
And I hadn't done anything wrong.
They're doing it for nothing. That's the thing. And they do a good day's work, a lot of them. It's not easy work always. Sometimes it's quite physical, quite manual, you know.
All right, well, thanks for the inside scoop, Bob.
Okay.
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra. 0845 6060 973. We've had inside stories from all ends. I can put it like that. This is LBC 97.3.
Stressed, anxious.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yeah, you bet. Here's an email. You can email me at nick.abbott@lbc.co.uk, and Abbott is 2 B's 1 T. There is a website that says this email called theregister.co.uk. It deals with IT news. Oh, information technology news.
Boring!
Shall I continue, or should I just stop there? Oh, all right then. It deals with IT news in a light-hearted way. Ooh. Every time Ms. Campbell breaks into the news, they always describe it as the battling Streatham clothes horse. Rightio. Yep, that sounds right. A text. You can text me on 84850. Will you tell that Miss Campbell to apologise to the 400 passengers she delayed, including me, for 2 hours? Oh, right. Well, I would see, that's a plane ride I'd like to have been on. Wouldn't you like to have heard the commotions going on behind that tiny little nylon curtain? You might even have decided to take a quick peek. Another one. John the cabbie is out of his mind. This is a call that we had at the beginning of the show. As the Mercedes taxi is fantastic, the traditional London cab is antiquated and should be in the Transport Museum. P.S. I am really happy. This is about the happiest day of the year thing. I would have thought the cab drivers would be jumping up and down, thrilled that there was an alternative to the London cab, because it can't... I don't think it can... How can it possibly be right that... to be a cabbie, you have to buy your tool of the trade from one manufacturer. I can't think of any other job where that is true. Can you? Can you think of any other job in the world where where the tool of your trade is only made by one company, and you're forced to buy that product, otherwise you can't work? Can you think of anything that's like? How come the Monopolies and Mergers Commission aren't jumping all over this? How can that be right? That you're only allowed to buy from one company? Does anybody actually explain that fully? Maybe a cabbie. Are there any cabbies listening to LBC? I'll bet there's one or two. How can that be true? That you're forced to buy from one company? That can't be right, surely.
Well, the cabs have to be really specific in turning circles.
Yeah,
and this
blimey,
and
that's
that.
not beyond the wit of an automobile company, though, is it?
And also, yeah, but it's probably not very economical unless you specialise in it, which the company that builds the taxis does. And I do believe it's the only British company to still be making cars.
Hurrah!
With the only car company left is the one that makes London taxis.
Right. Why are they called manganese bronze? That doesn't sound like a car company, does it? It sounds like they're in metals. Well, which I suppose they are, but not bronze. They don't make them out of bronze, do they? Blimey, they'd be chipping bits off them and flogging them down the market. It is the happiest day of the year, boys and girls. Aren't you thrilled? This is according to a formula worked out by an academic with far too much time on his hands. Apparently a feeling of optimism caused by the combination of lighter evenings, the prospect of holidays, the memories of childhood summers. All peaks right here, right now. June the 20th. This is in the Telegraph. It says, but the equation does not take into account the gloomy economic forecasts, falling house prices, rising inflation, stagnating pay rises, England's football team not playing in the Euro 2008 finals, and a damper than normal start to the summer. Oh! Here's a call in Cheam. Hello, PJ.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Right. Regarding this, a gentleman who came on the radio just before the news about Londoners are a bit moody and gloomy.
Yeah, Londoners are very miserable, yeah.
Okay, I think that's untrue.
Go on.
Right. I mean, I got a business in... I got a shop in Cheam. I live in North London.
Well, Cheam. See, Cheam's not London.
It is last small village of part of the suburb of London.
I see. Village. I rest my face.
It is a small Cheam village, yes.
Right. See, I wouldn't say Cheam was London. I'd say that's pretty much the countryside.
No, it's a border. It's the last part of Greater London.
Okay, then.
And in my place, I mean, like, even the strangers, they give a smile, I get a smile back. Even, like, people are so intermingle. Like, smiles is there, hello, how are you is there. People stand by. Why not? I mean, even if you go to central London, or even if you give a smile, you get a smile back easily.
Oh, I don't know. You smile at somebody in central London, you're, well, it depends where you are, of course. In Soho, you'll probably be invited up for a quick time. Yeah. Would you like some business, sir, they'll be saying?
No, I wouldn't go for that kind of thing. No.
Especially not in Cheam. I bet you don't have that in Cheam.
No, it's a very, what to say, a nice, polite, and it's a clean area also,
Yeah.
very clean area.
Right, like I said, it's not London. And you can say it till you're blue in the face, mate. Cheam isn't London. It's the countryside.
No, this is the last part. It's the border of London. It's the last part of the London.
Yeah,
and once you leave Cheam, you're in the countryside. I can agree with that.
Right. So if you look out your shop window, do you see green?
No, I got to see buildings.
Oh, right. Okay. How high are they?
They're about 50, 60 feet high.
No, they're not.
They are.
You're making this up.
No. I got a four-story building in the front of my shop.
Okay, then.
In fact, I mean, like, it's not true that the Londoners are miserable. If you go certain part of London, people are quite friendly. They're quite happy. I can agree with the central London, yes. People are a bit under stress, under pressure, and they don't want to be that friendly or smiling.
Right. Well, there is the story, of course, where a traveller meets some people coming from a town, like halfway on a road, halfway between two towns, and the chap says, "What are the people like in the town that you've just come from, where this guy is going?" And he says, "Well, what were the people like in the place that you've just come from?" And he says, "Well, they were a right bunch of horrible bleepers." And he said, "Well, you'll probably find that there are a right bunch of horrible bleepers in the place that you're going to, because of course it's each individual person creates their own mood wherever they go."
That's correct.
Which is why everyone's always frowning wherever I go. But you sell flowers, did you say?
No, I'm a hall decoration for weddings and birthdays. I decorate balloons and other things.
Oh, right. Well, you're in a happy business then.
I am.
Balloons you have. Oh, right.
Yes, I mean, I sell balloons for all the occasions, including funerals as well.
Well, don't let any balloons go, because seabirds swallow them and choke to death.
No. In fact, I mean, all the latex balloons, they are environmentally friendly. They decompose within 6 to 9 months once they are shattered. Once they pop, goes up in the sky.
Is that right?
Yep, that's been done one of a big company who does manufacture balloons.
Oh, well, there you are. He's smiling and saving the world at the same time. Good job. Keep it up, PJ. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
0845 6060 973. Are we happy? HAPPY? I think we're a bunch of miserable... We are, aren't we? And it's because we don't live in Cheam. Cheam's not London. I don't even know where Cheam is. Where is Cheam?
I think it's near Surrey.
Well, there you are. You see, I rest my face. Surrey? Surrey's not London. as soon as you get beyond... I wouldn't even say that Putney's London. Never mind about Cheam. People in Putney are cheerier than they are in, well, I don't know, you can name anywhere else. Brixton, for instance. Acne, yeah, Acne. Much happier than they are in Acne. It depends on what your circumstances, what you're looking at, how busy the life is around you. Soho, people are awful. Dreadful people in Soho. Freaks, too. They're all over the place. I went to Soho to get my hair cut the other day. Oh, I noticed that, Nick. Your hair's looking fantastic.
Why did you go all the way to Soho just to get your hair cut?
Because they do a tremendous job, as you can see. Hey, it'll be a cold day in hell when I take criticism about hair from you, mate. So you can shut up. Oh, hey, UFOs. It was the most bizarre story in the Sun today about UFOs. Did you see it? No?
No, I don't think I did.
No, well, you missed out. Oh, you want me to read it? All right, then. I'll do it in a bit. Hang on. First of all, it's a call from America in Atlanta. Oh, Steve?
Hello, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Said that you didn't think that you'd find someone who would disagree with what that policeman had to say, and
yes,
you're in luck.
Okay.
Because, well, I mean, it's like the whole point is he talks about how difficult prison is in the United States and acts like, well, that must be why there's no crime over here and people, are totally scared by prison and they don't consider it a badge of honor over here.
No, I don't think that's what he said at all.
Well, no, he was saying the prison is really easy in the UK. It's like people consider it a badge of honor. That was his exact words. And the whole point is, the more difficult the prison is, the more people consider it a badge of honor. And like the prison that guy, Joe Arpaio, runs, for you to say that people never want to go back to it, I wouldn't say that people never want to go back to it with the rate at which they go back to it.
Well, what's the recidivism rate?
The recidivism rate is just as high as any other prison.
Oh, well, you say that. How do you know that?
Because, I've read about this guy plenty of times in the past.
Well, I thought the reverse was true. Oh, well, hang on a minute. I mean, you're saying that it's just as high, but where's the evidence? You're just saying that.
Okay, where's the evidence that it's not? Well, the crime rate in Arizona is the fourth highest state of any other country.
Right, but he's not covering Arizona, is he? He's covering a small part of it. It's so small I've never even heard of it.
It's a state prison that people get sent to from all over the state.
Right.
Well, let me ask you a question. If I told you I set up a guy to do building work in your house while, just you were there, and I said, he's a graduate, he's been to Joe Arpaio's prison twice, would you think, oh, he's a really reformed character, and I know I'll feel safe around him?
No.
So there you go.
Well, but he's been to prison. Well, first of all, I would question... hang on a minute. Whoa, Nelly. First of all, I would question the twice part. Why has he gone twice? And second, I'd want to know what he was in for. I mean, if he was in for fraud or, like a white-collar crime, something like that, then that'd be fine. If he cut the heads off...
Go to maximum security prison for a white-collar.
All right, well, if he tied his last clients together and chopped them into little pieces, then I wouldn't feel that happy. Here, listen, I'm past a break. I've got to go, Steve. Sorry about that.
Okay, bye.
It's 0845 6060 973. It's 9:16 and a half. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks a lot, Nick. Well, the Rotherhithe Tunnel... Fabulous.
Text. You can text me if you like on 84850. Hi, Nick. I hope you don't mind me asking, but Kiss or Aerosmith, and why?
Rock and roll!
Well, it has to be Aerosmith, really, because Kiss are just a way of selling plastic toys, aren't they? I mean, they've got a few good songs, but Aerosmith trumped them for their back catalogue, no question about that. That was an easy one. I'd like to play for the steak knives, please. I can't believe how easy that question was. Any fool would... I mean, who would say Kiss versus Aerosmith and choose Kiss, huh? I mean, even Raj would choose Aerosmith, and he knows nothing about music. Isn't that right, Raj?
Absolutely.
Another text. Prisons and being a prisoner is not all a bed of roses. The worst part is being followed around by a giant balloon. They're remaking that, aren't they? I am not a number. I am a free man. And then something like... something like that, isn't it? You are number 6. Who is number 1? I am number 2. Something like that. Yes, they're remaking it. What a very bad idea. They shouldn't do that. I mean, that was just so rooted in the 60s, right? I'm guessing 60... Oh, 69. I bet I'm right. Am I? Oh, Vicky is nodding at me enthusiastically.
Yes, you are correct.
Oh, right, 69. There you are, you see. In the groovy, hippie, space-aged 1969.
Yowza.
Yeah, I remember that well. Of course, it starts very well, and then towards the end it gets a bit crazy, doesn't it? And then totally loses its mind at the end, and not even the people who made it can follow it.
Do you know why it goes all weird at the end?
Because they ran out of ideas and just...
Because Patrick McGowan started writing and directing it himself.
Right.
Whereas the first ones were a whole production team.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he... So what happened there? Did he fire them, or what?
No, he just gradually got more control of the programme till at the end he's like, I think I should write it. I think I should direct it, actually.
Big mistake, yes. But it's a fantastic... and they're going to make it in Portmeirion as well, aren't they? Why on earth would they want to do that? Well, what possibly... What could you possibly... how could you benefit by remaking it in the same place? I don't get it. Do you? I mean, it's not even as though the old one is in black and white. So they're not... because they do that in Hollywood a lot, of course. Or if a foreign language film has got a good story, they'll remake it in American, so you don't have to read while you're watching the film. I hate that. I must have about 10 films all backed up with subtitles, because, you know, they're all good films. But I'm never in the mood to read. When I'm slumped in front of the TV, I just want to... Because I read all the time. You know, every day. From the moment I get up, I'm reading. I read every newspaper. I don't want to read anymore. I just want to switch my brain off. And so I'm never going to get around to it. Pan's Labyrinth. That's supposed to be one of the greatest films of the last decade. I got about 10 minutes in, I thought, oh... Isn't there something with Bruce Willis on? And there never is. There's never enough Bruce Willis films on when you want them. Am I right? Hey, you know what? Dexter is coming back. I wrote it down on the back of my hand. I've read it in one of the papers. July the 6th. The new series. You don't like that? Pouty face.
I saw 5 minutes and there was just too much blood.
Well, yes, exactly right. So did I. When the first one came out, I saw the first 5 minutes. I thought, this is repellent. And so I switched it off. And then, after about 4 weeks, and people going on and on and on about it, I tried it again. I thought, wow, this is great. So I missed about the first 4 episodes, just because I was put off, because it just... There was no build-up, really, was it? It was straight into the hideous gore, right from the off, where they should have given you a little bit of a run and a jump up at it. No, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Heroes is coming to an end. There's so much on. See, this is why it's the happiest day of the year, because there's so much on TV. We got the football, which is like a daily check, as we were saying off the air, Raj and I, to see how orange the BBC presenters are getting. Something seriously wrong going on there. And it can't be that sunny. It's been raining all the time. How are they getting that orange?
Maybe Austria gets more sun than we know.
I don't think so, no. Australia gets more sun than we think, but they're not in Australia. Hey, Australia is the... who cares? Another text, 84850. Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell in a fight wearing those big sumo suits. Televised. That would bring joy into many lives. I'm picturing that right now. I like that. My money's on Naomi. Hey, talking about, stick-thin freaks. Amy Winehouse, there she is. Stricken Amy Winehouse is coughing up blood and has a raging chest infection. That's a surprise. She looks so well. That's a picture of her. Good grief. What a mess. The 24-year-old Back to Black star has an irregular heartbeat. Really? What a surprise. Isn't she dead yet? On the Sun, and this is the story, They print pictures of her through the years. I cannot believe that is the same woman. In 2004, can you remember what she looked like? Because I had no idea. In 2004, it looks like her better looking, healthier, well, I was going to say sister, but she doesn't look like you. She doesn't even look like a relative. I'm going to sneeze. No, it went away. Oh, I hate when that happens. Yes, in 2004, she was a buxom babe, it says in the Super Story. And she looked fantastic. And in 2006, a few more tattoos. She doesn't seem to have any tattoos in 2004. Whoever she met in 2004, that's where it all started to go wrong, obviously. Few more tats in 2006. 2007, kind of scrawny... What's the politically correct term for hoe? She looks awful. And present day, well, I mean, I'm just amazed she's still alive, isn't it? What a mess. There you go. Money doesn't buy you happiness. She's got loads of it. Didn't she have the best-selling album of last year, Amy Winehouse? And you know why she had the best-selling album of last year? Because she takes so many drugs. Because she's in the papers all the time. That's why. That's the route to success. Never mind about the government telling you, don't do drugs. They might as well say...
Want to score some pot?
Because no message that they say is going to beat what Amy is coming up with. Amy and Pete and Kate and all of those people. The route to success is... through sucking on a crack pipe. Obviously. These people are tremendously successful. And what are they in the paper for on virtually a daily basis? Either taking or looking like they've just taken a huge hill of drugs. So that's the message that I'm getting. I'm considering, like I said to Clive the other day, I'm going to get addicted to prescription drugs in order to further my career. It can only do me good. Where are we now? 29:55. Oh, not quite enough time to get into the UFO story, which is very bizarre. Only the Sun had that story today. And it's so weird, I think it'll be in every paper tomorrow. Because this isn't any sort of local, yokel, war type, like that nice man from Cheam. This isn't some farmer from Cheam, who is a stranger to the modern world. It's not some man who's been probed in the middle of his field somewhere. These were policemen. Just lately, but I'll come to that in a while because it's very bizarre. There was the politician who told everyone to cheer up, which I thought was quite funny. I might do that too. And also, I found... You know that half of the world is starving to death, and the other half is eating too much. But those two are not necessarily connected, because apparently the amount that we eat has kind of peaked, and it's not that we're eating too much so they're starving to death. It's all about the biofuels and the lack of production in farms, and they can't find any more land to convert to arable, etc. and so on. So we've got a food shortage in the world. Well, apparently we don't. Apparently they've found land that is plenty big enough to feed the world and all it's got. It's gone to the melting pot. Everybody sing. How does it go? How does that one go? Oh, come on, Victoria, give us a few bars of that now.
I'm trying to work out whether you're singing Harvest for the World or Melting Pot.
Melting Pot. Yeah, that doesn't sound anything like Harvest for the World. Harvest for the World? No. Big melting pot. Big enough, big enough, big enough to take the world and all it's got. Come on, Raj. Dance for me. Here's a text. Your lady is dead right. What lady? Oh, you. He doesn't know you very well, does he, Victoria? Your lady is dead right, apart from the bit about it being the only British car manufacturer. What other British car manufacturers are there?
Morgan.
Is that entirely British-owned?
I believe so. I think they only make 1.5 cars a week, which is typical of the British.
It'd be my luck to buy the one that's just a half a car. Hey, you know, if you... Oh, are we that time already? LBC. Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing this show a few months now, and I've ignored a very large part of our lives, so I'm going to be examining tonight the relationships that we form with the people we interact with when we're at work.
Oh, I prefer not to.
Well, you can't help it sometimes, can you?
Yes. So far. Like a grunt every now and again.
Well, we spend up to at least a third, sometimes more, of our lives at work. Meeting all sorts of different people, colleagues, members of the public, and forming loads and different kinds of relationships with these people. So I'm going to be looking at that tonight. Yeah, our bosses as well, our customers. What happens when things go slightly wrong? Perhaps what happens when you fall in love?
Well, see, that's the nub of it, isn't it? It's the office romance, because people pick. Types that they in real life, outside, they would never choose.
No,
but because
right.
they're stuck around them all the time, suddenly they start to look, not so bad.
Particularly after the, inevitable office party.
Yeah.
And a few glasses of the old...
Never drink
or whatever.
around your work colleagues, ever.
No. Well, I'm hoping to uncover a few interesting stories tonight.
Well, I'm sure there's loads of them.
We're also going to be looking at whether or not all women love a bad guy.
Yes, I saw that too, yeah.
Interesting story. And once a cheater, always a cheater? I wonder.
A cheat... Right.
No, I'm not talking about big cats there, obviously.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
No.
But I wish it had now.
So all that and more coming up after 10 tonight.
Right, OK, very good. There he is, Jim Davis, on after the news at 10 o'clock. The phone number here, 0845 6060 973. You can text me on 84850. A text. Nick, this John the cabbie thinks it's fantastic. We will have a choice. Choice of cabs, this is. Your ever-so-beautiful voice assistant. Which one? What, Raj? Your ever-so-beautiful voice assistant is 100% correct in her explanation, oh yeah, it is right, of why only one company makes taxicabs up until now. What explanation? Was there an explanation? I must have missed that. I don't listen to this show.
You just don't listen,
No, I don't, no.
When
Not a word you say.
That there are specific specifications.
Yes, specific specifications,
that
yes.
cabs need, such as turning circles and different sizes.
Was that when I said that's not beyond the wit of any automotive company to nail that onto their little cars?
And I said yes, but it's probably not economical for them to do so.
Right, and then what did I say? And then she said, and I said, and she said, and I said, oh, woo! That's if you missed any of the last half hour. We'll recreate the show from the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. Or, like I said before, if you want to catch any of this show on podcast, then we have the podcast service on the website, lbc.co.uk. I recommend it. Cheam is in Surrey, said that text. I know that. See, it's the happiest day of the year. Aren't we HAPPY? You bet your life we are.
No.
Here is another text. They've started to build a London taxi in China, and will move the whole production there in a few years. Is that right? Well, it's bound to happen sooner or later, I suppose. Hey, do they make any cars in China? I mean, they probably do, but do we buy any cars that are made in China? Because we buy a load of cars that are made in Japan, which is but spitting distance from it. You want a reliable car? You know where you got to buy it from? What?
Japan.
Yeah, the clue was in the question just before, really. Yeah, Japan, yeah. The top 10 most reliable cars come from, in first place, Japan, in second place, Japan, in third place, Japan, in fourth place, Japan, in fifth place, Japan, in sixth place, Japan, in seventh place, Japan, in eighth place, South Korea, which is near, and in ninth place, Japan, and in 10th place, Germany. Vorsprung durch Technik. Except it's not them, it's Porsche. Japanese cars are the most reliable on the road, a motoring survey shows. They are also the most...
Boring!
That's not true, is it? Japanese manufacturers take the first 7 places in a reliability league of 38 car makers published today. English-based companies come where on the list? That's right, bottom. Isn't that shocking? There is a Japanese car that is made in this country, the Civic, the Honda Civic. And you know where that comes? Joint last. Isn't that terrible? Joint last. Everything else that Honda makes is driven by you. So I don't even know. Brian May gave that song over to... Oh, it's probably Ford, wasn't it? Yeah, driven by you. Everything else that Honda makes is the most reliable thing that has ever touched tarmac, except for the one that's made here, bottom last. What is wrong with us? Honestly, what do we make in this country now? What do we make that is a world-class leading product? Anything. Some hi-fis, some exotic hi-fis come from this country. Like, I think Lynn is a British company, isn't it? Harman Kardon? That doesn't sound British. But I know that we do have some exotic hi-fi companies that would be classed among the best in the world, none of which I can think of right now. But I know that that's true. Apart from that, I'm stumped.
Cheddar cheese.
Food doesn't count. I'm talking about products. You know, things that are screwed together. Can't screw cheese. Raj begs to differ. Do we make anything in this country that is actually worth spending money on? Oh, Victoria, you disgust me. Where's your mind going? No, honestly, do we?
I think the Lotus is still made here. Lotus cars, they still make them.
Let's see where they come. One moment, please. Most British brands near the bottom: Vauxhall, poor; Land Rover, very poor; Rover and MG, no longer in production, but were very poor. Only Mini and Jaguar receive an average score, so Lotus not on here.
We do actually make the new BMW Mini in Cowley in Oxford.
Do we? Mini. Well, BMW's not on this list. They're not in the top 10. They're not that... I was going to say they're not that reliable compared to the Japanese, but no one is. But the only Germany company that came anywhere near was Porsche, and that's number 10. Or Porsche. People get very pedantic about that pronunciation. A text. They have started to build the London... I read that one. Another one. I'm no longer a student, sadly freelancing for a living. Anyway, why is Piers Morgan getting a chat show? I am angry. What bizarre text. I am no longer a student. As though I was accusing them of being a student. What on earth is going on here? But they're still happy, though. Oh, no, angry. That's right. You are the first laugh I've had today, and nothing to do with the colour of your front door. I don't understand that either. I don't understand my own show, Raj. Another one. Have you seen The Happening movie? I've never even heard of it. I saw the trailer at Euston Station. Has anyone seen it? I like the end of the world stuff. The papers say it's naff. No idea. But I'm happy to help. And I hope that was a satisfactory answer. Chelsea. Hello, Alan.
Yeah, hi. Just to put you right on a few things about about taxis.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, Manganese Bronze is the holding company that owns LTI.
Right.
So, it's just a name, really. I mean, they've got lots of other fingers in other pies besides cabs.
Okay.
Cabs themselves, you've probably heard all this tonight already, but, the only competition that they've had over the last 30 years since I've been in the trade is the Metro cab, which was brought out by Metro Camel Wayman originally, and went on to be built by the people that made the little Trotters three-wheeler, whatever they were called.
The Reliant Robin, wasn't it?
That's it, yeah. Reliant took them over as well at one time, but, they've all gone by the wayside, and the reason is the 25-foot turning circle, basically.
How can that be that hard, though?
Well, it's not that hard to do. I mean, there are some really good taxis, like Mercedes make a good one, and Fiat make a good one, and Peugeot make a good one, but in order to put the 25-foot turning circle on a vehicle like a Mercedes, they would have to change the whole of all of them. You know, they're based on a Vito van, and you'd have to put a 25-foot turning circle, because engineering costs would be a fortune.
Right.
So what they do is, rather than do that, they just say, no, they can't do a 25-foot turning circle. There's no point in, I mean, a 25-foot turning circle can be dangerous, can't it? Because it's a pretty, you know, you do a turning circle very quickly and you can roll over.
Yes.
And if you put it on every Vito van around the world, I mean, imagine how many Vito vans would be rolling over.
Yes. So I suppose it's not economic for them because they won't be selling enough.
No, the engineering costs are too much.
Right. Yeah. But they have, I think they've overcome that problem, haven't they? Because there is a
I haven't seen this yet. I don't know. Where did you see it then?
It was probably in the Standard, I would think. There was a picture of it. It looked quite nice. Yeah, I think that they'd cracked that problem.
Oh, right. Oh, well, that's all right if they have. But, I mean, that was the last reason that was given why, you know, there's always been complaints about, you know, just being able to buy one vehicle. Right?
Yes.
So I've been in the business, it's always been the same.
Because they're not cheap, are they?
No, well, 35 grand now to buy a new one.
£35,000.
Yeah, and it's like, you know...
And it doesn't even come with leather seats, eh?
No, exactly, yeah, exactly. Don't even come with comfortable seats, I'm out leather seats.
Right. OK, thanks for that, Alan.
All right,
Cheers, mate. Ta-ra.
Thanks, bye.
0845 6060 973. Here's a text. A British make Aston Martin. That's right. It's not owned by Brits anymore, is it? Who bought it eventually? Not the Indians. They bought Jaguar, didn't they? Who bought Aston Martin? Because it was Ford, and I can't remember. But they do still make it here, in that exotic car plant in Berkshire, no? Somewhere. It's almost certainly somewhere. I know I've got that right.
Now.
Eh?
It might be German-owned.
Aston Martin. OK. Another one. We make good drunks in this country, and the government make a right mess of it. Nissan Micra, Sunderland plant, and Micra replacement plan to start production after Micra ceases. I wouldn't know Nissan Micra if I crashed into one. What's a Nissan Micra? Is it one of those dull people carrier things?
And that's a really small car.
Oh, well, like I said, they're fantastic. This UFO story... Oh, no, I'm right up against the break again. I'm never going to get it out. Or the story, either. It's 9:44. LBC Travel with Helen Austin.
Thanks, Nick. Well, the Rotherhithe Tunnel is...
We're running late!
Now, there's good news and bad news. It's the happiest day of the year. I feel like I'm breaking into a song and dance routine every time I say that. It's the happiest day of the year. There is a song of that, isn't there? Yes. I'll just say yes and know that I'm right. Good news. Across a great arc of the Eurasian steppe. This was hidden away in the business section of the Telegraph today. Across the great arc of the Eurasian steppe, from Ukraine through Russia to Kazakhstan, lies enough arable land to feed the world for years to come, with spare for biofuels to help plug the energy gap. A lot of people very concerned that we're not going to be able to feed the world, like Bongo was banging on about. You know, Bongo and the Hedge and all those people. Well, they've just found it. Found it! The Moscow Investment Bank, Troika Dialogue, says that just 43% of the arable land in Russia is cultivated. Think about that for a moment. 43% of the land that they could be planting crops on has actually got crops on it. All of the rest is just lying fallow. Crop yields in the trio of ex-Soviet states remain at pre-modern levels. In other words, they're getting nothing out of that land, pretty much. Yields could be doubled in Russia and tripled in the Ukraine using modern kit and know-how. The potential is tremendous. The great leap forward may at last be underway as the clutter of Soviet-era restrictions are broken down and Russia's newfound wealth pours into high-tech farm investment. It comes in the nick of time. World corn prices are flirting with the once unthinkable level of $8 a bushel, up fivefold in a little over 2 years. That's staggering, isn't it? Fivefold in 2 years, corn. That's one of the reasons everything costs so much these days. Strictly speaking, there is no global shortage of land. Cereal production peaked at around 740 million hectares in 81 and slid steadily for over 2 decades before recovering a little to 680 million. So the land that we are actually producing food on, we're using less efficiently than we were 20 years ago. The chief reason is that crop yields rose so fast that marginal or high-cost farms were driven out of business. The consensus view is that the world is running out of land. But that's a fallacy, apparently. This bank said that this year's surge in food prices is a byproduct of the oil spike, which has drawn 30% of America's corn harvest into biofuels for cars. Yeah, that's right. They're turning over land that wants to produce corn and wheat and so on and so forth for cheap fuel for cars, which has caused, so they say, the lack of food. There's a giant food shortage going on. They're saying because we haven't got enough land to plant corn and, all these food products. But apparently it's just not true. A string of bad harvests in Australia, Ukraine and Turkey has made matters worse. At the end of the day, Russia, Ukraine and Kazakhstan between them hold 13% of the world's arable land. They produce 6% of the world's grain and 3% of its meat. And this bank is saying, the reason it was in the business section is saying basically, if you've got any money, by which they mean millions and millions and millions, plough it into the people that sit between Russian land and the manufacturing process of going into food, the transport and, so on. All the infrastructure of Russian food production, that's where you should put all your money. Worth a punt, they say. That's a staggering statistic. They hold 13% of the world's arable land and produce just 3% of its meat. So the upside, the potential, is enormous. So there is no world food shortage. They've just found all the land, almost as though they just picked up a carpet and thought, oh, there it is. It's in Russia. And the bad news, of course, the bad side of that is they've got all the oil and the gas as well. And now they've got all the food. And you know who they're run by? Vlad the Insaner. Oh, no. Just pause and let that sink in. Yes, it's good news, but it's very bad news as well. Because you know what he does when he doesn't like you? He turns off your gas. He does that to whole countries. So imagine what that would be like if he turned off your food. Russia has been in the doldrums for a very long time. But because of this guy, and they love him over there. Actually, this is worth reading. There's a magazine out featuring Vladimir Putin, which has enhanced his image as Russia's leading sex symbol. Think about that for a second. He's Russia's leading sex symbol after a commemorative magazine wholly dedicated to his virility and reputation as a vampire rapidly sold out in kiosks in Moscow. The cover, carrying a picture of Mr. Putin looking unnaturally youthful, accompanied by the headline, "My heart is on my sleeve," seemed sufficiently tantalising to appeal to most patriotic Russians. Add to that a free poster of a topless Prime Minister fishing, promises of revelations about his wild youth, including a visit to a Hamburg strip club, romances with women, plus a guide on how to become Putin, and the magazine looks set to break circulation records for a single issue. Earlier in the year, the magazine easily broke its circulation record with 400,000 copies, when it released an issue with a bare-chested Mr. Putin on its cover. This time, the magazine has outdone itself, carrying numerous photos of the Prime Minister in heroic poses, kayaking, swimming with dolphins, and arm wrestling, under the headline, "Sometimes he's just so cool." There's not a single woman who would not dream of embracing and kissing Vladimir Putin and hearing his declaration of love, the article opined. Can you believe this? You're screwing your face up, Vic. The magazine reported that Mrs. Putin praised the Prime Minister as a model husband because he did not beat her. It's different in Russia. But also noted that he was an unemotional vampire who sucked all the juices out of her. Nice. Under one headline, which says, "I severed its head with one blow," the magazine approvingly reported how Mr. Putin killed rats, and as a boy, beheaded a duck with an axe. Showing his merciful side, young Vladimir also rescued 3 kittens from being drowned. Ah. "I like to read about what Mr. Putin wears," said Galina, a Moscow businesswoman, reading the magazine in a park. "I like to know that he enjoys eating fried cabbage and ham. It somehow makes me feel closer to him." Russia's lost its mind. Would you like a magazine with our own dear leader? with his shirt off on the front. It's a big no-no, isn't it? Right, UFO. Do you want the UFO story? I wonder if I've got time. Stunned cops gave chase to a UFO after it attacked their helicopter near a military base. I am not making this up. The mystery aircraft zoomed straight at the chopper as the three-man cop crew prepared to land. The pilot banked sharply to avoid being hit, then launched into a high-speed pursuit, but he was forced to give up the chase as the helicopter ran low on fuel and the UFO escaped. All three crew described the object as flying saucer-shaped and circled by flashing lights. They reported it to senior officers, who passed it on to the Britain's UFO investigators. The incident happened as the helicopter was returning to the MOD's St Athan base near Cardiff, where it's stationed. The chopper was at 500 feet and waiting to land when the crew saw the UFO speeding towards them from below. A source said, "It closed in at great speed, aiming straight at the helicopter. The chopper had to swerve sharply to avoid being hit. The guys said that if they'd stayed where they were, they'd be dead now. It would have been a direct hit." They are convinced it was a UFO. It sounds far-fetched, but they know what they saw. These guys are hardened professionals, and no people will take the mickey, but they are certain that they saw a UFO. A source said, after the near collision they decided to follow it to find out what the hell it was. They belted across the Bristol Channel in pursuit, but it was too quick. They got to the North Devon coast and had to turn back because they were running low on fuel. The chopper is crammed with high-tech cameras and surveillance gear, but the UFO somehow avoided being caught on film. Strangely, the crew couldn't see the craft with night vision goggles, but all said that it was clearly visible to the naked eye on the night of June the 7th. South Wales Police said last night, "We can confirm the air support unit sighted an unusual aircraft. This was reported to the relevant authorities for their investigation." The Ministry of Defence, which usually investigates UFO sightings, said, "We've heard nothing about this, but it's certainly not advisable for police helicopters to go chasing what they think are UFOs." Now, I've seen all this before. After they've chewed up a lot of people and sprayed their remains over the blooded fields, they succumb to a mysterious earthly disease, and their space tripods crash into buildings in an abrupt and unsatisfactory end to the drama. I've seen that. So there it is. They're among us. But we just can't see them, except with the naked eye. And so we must close. And Raj, in his best sing-songy voice, pretending as though he's been entertained throughout, will now tell us what we've talked about. Off you go.
We talked about the happiest day of the year, Naomi Campbell, rehabilitation, community payback, revenge, ordeals, designer creations, sweeping streets, mobile phone weapons, lost luggage in Terminal 5, suing and bleeping, getting one's lawyer, going Vesuvius on someone, boarding in a friendly mood, captain's apologies, cousins being Scotland Yard, stiletto heels, absolute discharges, anger management, previous good character, national institutions, new black cab designs, traditional shapes, lobotomies, changing, lost luggage counters, supermodel sentences, UFOs, getting away with it.
It's a bit of a monotonous drone, isn't it, Victoria?
Sorry. Coughing up blood, rich people, talk show hosts, yes. Photographic choices,
TikTok,
spitting at people,
LBC.
Cashier number 1, please.